Hello, this is the third video tackling the operations in Animalgebra. In this video, we will tackle subtraction with addition and multiplication being the last two videos. If you don't know what Animalgebra is, it is simply using mathematical operations to bring about different ways to fuse animals or objects like this: chicken minus iguana plus catfish, the quantity multiplied to salamander minus snake plus b. Or it could be as big as this one, even though the last one was already big, where we form multiple creatures that all become one in the end. If you'd like to see all the arithmetic monsters or the animalgebraic equations thus far, check my shorts. So you know how in worded math problems for subtraction goes like, what is the difference between 8 and 3 or something? Animalgebraic subtraction is basically like that. In simple words, to subtract animals, you must take the differences of the animals and then add them together. That's right, there's addition in subtraction. So, if your animals have 2 eyes each, I'm sorry, but those are subtracted away since they're not differences, they're similarities. If one has 6 legs and the other has 4, you're only keeping 2 since the difference of 6 and 4 are 2. And basically, the more differences the animals have, the fuller your arithmon will be. Like octopus minus bumblebee here. Essentially, we are subtracting the parts. So 8 tentacles minus 6 insect legs. The difference are 2 tentacles. So keep only 2 tentacles. Both have eyes, so remove them. Octopuses don't really have a full body now, so we keep all the bumblebee body since that's a difference between the two animals. And of course, octopuses don't have wings and antennae. That's a difference. Keep them. So yeah, this is the result. Now, there are mistakes here. I overlooked the heads. Both of them have heads, so they ought to be removed, right? Also, I don't fully remember why, but I ended up declaring that the beak and the mandibles are different enough, so to speak, and so I kept them when I would not do that now, actually. And it just looks weird because it has 2 mouths, and it's supposed to be subtraction. Why are there 2 mouths? Basically, just like the past 2 videos on the operations, all the operations, or operators, have a degree of subjectivity, and in some cases it would be up to your own personal interpretation how you would determine what is different. Sometimes it just looks cooler, honestly. But there are 2 things to consider in determining differences. These are the correspondence and the functionality of parts. Let us take falcon minus deer here, for example, drawn by my friend JV, and compare it to the classic horse times parrot. As you can see here, I multiplied or mixed the parrot wings with the front legs of the horse. The reason is that in multiplication, you multiply the parts that correspond or the parts that vaguely match up with each other. However, this does not take into account functionality of the parts. Wings are for flying and legs for walking, but for subtraction, if the parts correspond, it doesn't mean they're considered similar. This is where functionality comes into play. Again, it can be subjective. It's pretty vague in some cases, like tentacles versus legs. But since wings and legs are different in terms of function, they are considered differences, and so are kept within this arithmetic monster. Whereas the back legs, they both correspond and have the same functionality. Again, kind of vague, right? So they are similar enough within this regard to be subtracted from the equation. Now that that's out of the way, let's look at some more examples. Lobster minus pelican, made by my friend Darren. Lobsters have 10 limbs, but if you count here, a pair is subtracted with the pelican legs. The tails were subtracted, of course, and the bodies as well. But as you can see here, this abdomen was not subtracted, and of course that also leaves the pelican neck. And then the final step is to add them all up, to which we have this cool transformation. It looks like addition, right? But not as clumpy or uncomfortable looking, honestly. Speaking of addition, let's take salamander minus snake plus b. So let's just get it out of the way. The differences are the salamander legs, snake scales, also the pit of the snake, because I was really trying to find more stuff to incorporate. And so we see here salamander legs, pit, and scales. Now, there is something a bit off here though, and it's that you might ask, did I apply the final step, which was to add all the parts together? And at the time of making this arithmon, actually, this was like my 5th short ever. This final step was not actually established. Division wasn't even a full-born concept yet. So yes, if you take out salamander minus snake only, it would just be scaly legs with a snake pit. And that's a fine result, since it's subtraction after all. But this is also fine, since our rule for addition is that you can pick apart the body parts, you can slice them up essentially, then add them or attach them, which is basically what is done here. Again, there can be multiple interpretations as long as we follow the general rule. Next is chicken minus iguana plus catfish. Let's play a game. Identify the differences of chicken and iguana. Ready? Lock in your answers, and this is the answer. So wings, scales, feathers, beak, whiskers, iguana tail, iguana front legs, chicken comb, and spiky stuff. And you just add it to the catfish, which is under all that amount of body parts. And so how many did you get? Last example, this beautiful abomination drawn by my friend JV. Since you made it this far, why don't you guess the 2 animals subtracted here and leave it down in the comments? Are you done commenting? Because yeah, that's pretty much it. To summarize, animalgebraic subtraction means to add the differences of 2 animals. The differences are determined through considering the correspondence and the functionality of parts. Anyway, yeah, let's put a check mark on subtraction. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time with division. Goodbye.